Good morning, you guys. Just going to check in here today. We're talking about family again, family and recovery, and recovery and family. So, um, it's the more I'm focusing on this, the more I'm realizing that, oh my gosh, it's just a dark hole for family with sons and daughters in recovery or husbands and wives in recovery. I mean, family is like, you know, such a um, so much misunderstanding about the disease of alcoholism or addiction. And so, a couple of things that I want to point out to it. I mean, who's going to educate them? Who's going to help them to understand the disease and help them with their own recovery? If it's not us, you know, I was sitting with a fellow last night and we were reading the chapter working with others together. We went through a couple of guys, and we went through working with others, and there's a lot of information in there about working with the family and about how to be with the family and what's going on with the family. So sometimes I think we forget. We're sponsoring somebody, and we forget that they have family, and I personally think it's kind of our responsibility to be there for them as well, to go to the house and with your sponsee and meet his mom or dad or brothers and sisters or um, wife or husband and first of all let them know that you're on the job and if we're talking about 12-step recovery. So, and what does that mean? And get them some literature from if we're talking 12-step recovery about the disease, because there's a lot of confusing stuff out there. I was with another guy yesterday, earlier in the day, smart guy, a really smart guy, and who's just starting to. He's like super 12-step curious, and he's been around a bit over the years, but has a lot of trouble with surrender and he spent years trying to figure out, some sort of a therapeutic way to get recovery, and so there's a lot of confusing. He showed me some sites he's been on, and there's a lot of confusing information out there about the disease, and he's finally come to the point where he realizes that he can't kind of think his way through this thing, and so anyway, that's my thing. My heart's really going out lately to families, and if you have of course you do. Your family, do they understand? You know, the disease, like really understand the disease. I mean, one of the guys that I was with last night, I said, how many people in your family do you think are affected by your disease? He's in a treatment center right now. I was there at the treatment center doing that, going over working with others with him. And he said, dozens. He said really dozens. And we did his fifth the other day, and wow, yes, remember when you did your fifth step and how many, who was in it? Mostly family, lots of family, and they family forgive, but it's they still don't understand. They think that we just screwed up, and and we're not screw ups. We're sick, and so how do we share that with family, our own families and families of the sponsees that we have, and to get the message out so that families understanding, can ease the pain. Understanding can ease the pain, and the more they understand, the more they realize that they have to do the work as well, and because families are often really hooked in the addiction of wanting to control, their addict, or you know or shame, lots of shame around their addict, and so there's lots of work to do in those areas. So that's my message today about families. Who's gonna inform families if it's not us? Really, who is if it's not us? So that's the deal. And today we're on February 28th. We don't get many February 28ths, do we? Right, one every 4 years. So what I've been reading from this book. This all started because of this book, and I picked it up last year in early May. I thought, if I could, 1st of May. I thought, what the heck? because we were all locked down with COVID at the time, and I started reading this publicly and having a little bit of a talk, but the talk's become more focused, really more focused on recovery and supporting families in recovery. So um, love it if you follow this channel, or subscribe to my YouTube when you get, go to YouTube. Maybe you're watching this on YouTube. So yeah, subscribe and support this whole idea of helping families. And I think I'm going to start a Facebook group that's about recovery for families from addiction, and we can put lots of content on there so families can have a place to go to get information about addiction. What do you think of that? Just been tossing that around yesterday. Okay, 28th thought for the day. We should, it says, be free from alcohol for good. It's out of our hands and in the hands of God. So we don't need to worry about it or even think about it anymore. But if we haven't done this honestly and fully, the chances are that it will become our problem again. Since we don't trust God to take care of the problem for us, we reach out and take the problem back to ourselves. And that's the key. I mean, if we're in the 12-step recovery program, that's the message that that we found that works for us is a spiritual reliance on a higher power, and and it's interesting that telling that to families, sitting down and saying, well, I've tried everything else, this is the only thing that works, is an amazing, I mean, it has to be delivered that way. It's like, if something else worked, we'd have figured it out. But it didn't, and we all wanted to quit. It wasn't for lack of wanting to. It was we just couldn't stay quit, and so we had to find a higher power. Um, we reach out and take the problem back to ourselves. Then it's our problem again. We're in the same old mess we were in before. We're helpless again, and we drink. The question from the thought for the day in this book is, do I trust God to take care of my problem for me? Yes. Meditation for the day. No work is of value without preparation. Every spiritual work must have behind it some every spiritual work must have behind it some spiritual preparation. Cut short times of prayer, cut short times of prayer and times of spiritual preparation, and many hours of work may be profitless. Oh, I see. Okay, I understand what he's saying. No work is of any value without preparation. Every spiritual work must be, every spiritual work must have behind it some spiritual preparation. Cut short times of prayer and times of spiritual preparation, and many hours of work may be profitless. From the point of view of God, our one poor tool working all the time, one poor tool working all the time, but doing bad work because of lack of preparation, is of small value compared with the sharp, keen, perfect instrument working for only a short time, but which turns out perfect work because of long hours of spiritual preparation. Oh, so he's talking about prayer and meditation. He's talking about, really um, becoming I believe, a spiritual student. That's what, when we finally really get it in the 12-step world, we do become spiritual students, and it's not just we really learn how to live in this planet, in this life, on a spiritual basis, spiritual principles, and we become a student. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may spend more time alone with God. I pray that I may get more strength and joy from such time, so that we can add much to, so that they can add much to my work. So that's this little book I've been reading for a while. We're coming up 10 months, I guess. Wow. So one of the things that I think that is an important part of this whole thing, and that's really what that reading just said, is that we're going to sit for a couple of minutes. And I don't even call it meditation anymore. I call it sitting. So let's just do that. Let's take like 3 minutes, just a few minutes. Just find yourself a comfortable spot, and we're just gonna drop in, be here now for a couple of minutes. And so many people that I know in the recovery world don't do this. But it is a part of the practice in steps 10 and 11. We talk, especially step 11, we talk about meditation. Meditation comes up a number of times in the book. And some people have said, well, he meant contemplation. Whatever, call it contemplation, I could care. Even contemplation requires a quiet time. So we're going to take that quiet time right now, and this is the one thing that I can give you that is a tool that will, works all the time. And that's to just sit quietly. And for me, it doesn't have to be fancy. I don't need any tools really. I just need to sit. So just find that we drop into the body. You know, sometimes just straighten up the back a bit. And we're into the breath. And many people say, oh, but my mind is so busy. That's okay. That's not necessarily going to ever go away. Just be here now with the busy mind. The trick with the busy mind is just to let it go, gently let it go. Don't pay any attention to it. It'll just go on there by itself. You're sitting here beside it, almost separate from it. You become aware that you're not your mind, you're not your thoughts. It's the beginning of recognizing that you're not your story, you're not your history. You can let go of all those things. If thoughts really grab you, just come back to the breath. Just come back to the breath. Okay, that's it. Just a real short little meditation. Just drop in. You could stay there if you like. I'm going to leave you. Love it if you subscribe on YouTube. And we carry this message. Let's focus on supporting families of addicts and alcoholics. It's just a huge number of, you know, people in pain, really. Yeah, that don't understand the disease. I think maybe they did something wrong. Okay, love you guys. Thank you.